The theater lights dimmed, and before the judges could even introduce the next act, the audience felt it, that strange, electric pause where something unforgettable is about to happen. Cameras panned across Simon Cowell's face, relaxed but curious, then to a small boy standing alone at the center of the AGT stage, barefoot, hands trembling slightly, eyes fixed on the massive crowd that felt like an ocean ready to swallow him. No one knew his name yet, but by the end of the night, no one would forget it. His name was Miguel. He was 11 years old, from a coastal village in the Philippines where electricity sometimes disappeared for days and dreams were often louder than opportunities. Back home, Miguel sang not on stages but on cracked wooden porches, beside flickering candles, while his mother washed clothes by hand and his younger sister fell asleep to his voice. His father had been a fisherman, lost at sea years ago, and since then, Miguel's songs had become the quiet glue holding his family together. Singing wasn't a hobby for him, it was how he remembered his father, how he comforted his mother, how he reminded himself that hope still existed. When Miguel first told his mother he wanted to audition for America's Got Talent, she smiled softly, the kind of smile that hides fear behind encouragement. They had no money for fancy vocal training, no connections, no safety net. All they had was an old phone with cracked speakers, where Miguel replayed videos of great singers and practiced late into the night. When the invitation finally came, neighbors pooled coins, sold homemade food, and prayed together so the boy could fly halfway across the world carrying nothing but a small backpack and a big dream. Standing on the AGT stage, Miguel introduced himself in a quiet voice. The judges leaned forward when he said he would sing Lupang Hinirang, the Philippine national anthem. There was a moment of uncertainty. This was not a flashy pop song, not something designed to impress with tricks or theatrics. It was sacred, heavy with history and pain, pride and sacrifice. Simon raised an eyebrow, unsure. The audience murmured. Then the first note left Miguel's mouth. It wasn't loud. It wasn't perfect. But it was honest. The kind of sound that doesn't ask for attention, it commands it. His voice carried the weight of storms survived, of families separated by poverty, of children growing up too fast. Each line felt like a confession, each breath like a prayer. The cameras caught audience members slowly rising to their feet, hands over hearts, eyes wide, as if they understood the song not by language but by feeling. Miguel's voice began to soar, no longer shaking, no longer small. In that moment, he wasn't just a boy from a village, he was a storyteller, a bridge between cultures, a reminder of what music is meant to do. Simon's face changed. The sharp critic, known for crushing dreams with a single sentence, blinked rapidly, his jaw tightening. By the final verse, tears welled up in his eyes, unguarded and real. When the last note faded, there was silence, one long, stunned heartbeat before the entire theater erupted. The audience stood, not because they were told to, but because they had to. The judges stood too. Simon wiped his eyes, laughing softly in disbelief, and for a rare moment, he struggled to speak. When he finally did, his voice cracked as he said that this was why the show existed, not for fame, not for ratings, but for moments that remind us of our shared humanity. Backstage, Miguel cried into his mother's arms, overwhelmed not by victory, but by relief. He had carried his country's story on his shoulders, afraid he might drop it, afraid he might not be enough. But in singing his truth, he had given the world something it didn't know it needed. As the video spread online, millions watched and re-watched that performance. Comments poured in from every corner of the globe, people saying they felt hope again, that they remembered their roots, that they called their parents after hearing him sing. And if you're watching this now, feeling that same lump in your throat, that same spark of belief, don't let it stop here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us, because stories like Miguel's remind us that greatness can come from the quietest places. Miguel didn't win AGT that night. But he won something bigger. He proved that courage doesn't need permission, that art doesn't need translation, and that even the smallest voice can make the strongest heart stand still. And somewhere back in his village, under the same sky his father once sailed beneath, a young boy learned that dreams, when sung from the soul, can travel farther than anyone ever imagined. The moment the curtain lifted, something felt different. Before a single word was spoken, before a single note was sung, the audience sensed it, the kind of silence that pulls you forward, the kind that makes you stop scrolling, stop breathing, and lean closer. A small Filipino boy stood alone under the spotlight, his shadow larger than his body, his heart pounding louder than the cheers he couldn't yet hear. And if you stay with this story until the end, you'll understand why this performance changed lives, and why stories like this deserve your support. your like, and your subscription, so they can keep reaching hearts around the world. His name was Daniel. He was 12 years old, raised in a crowded neighborhood where homes were built wall-to-wall and dreams were often packed away with broken furniture and unpaid bills. Daniel grew up hearing his mother sing softly while cooking rice, her voice tired but warm, her songs echoing stories of struggle and survival. Music was not something they chose, it was something that lived with them, something that helped them endure when food was short and hope felt expensive. Daniel's father worked overseas, sending money when he could, missing birthdays, school events, and ordinary moments that slowly turn into memories. Every night, Daniel sang to the sound of old radio static, imagining his voice traveling across oceans, reaching his father wherever he was. When he discovered Lupang Hinirang, he didn't just hear a national anthem, he heard history, sacrifice, and a promise that no matter how small you feel, you belong to something bigger. Audition day came with fear. Daniel's hands shook as he waited backstage, surrounded by dancers, singers, and performers dressed in glitter and confidence. He had none of that. He wore a simple shirt, shoes borrowed from a cousin, and carried a flag folded carefully in his pocket. When the judges asked what he would sing, a brief pause filled the room. Some smiled politely. Some looked unsure. A Filipino national anthem on an American stage felt risky. But Daniel didn't come to play it safe. He came to tell the truth. The first note was fragile, like glass. Then it grew. Each line carried the weight of ancestors, of parents who worked until their hands broke, of children who learned responsibility before play. The audience didn't understand every word, but they understood the emotion. They felt it rise in their chests, tightening throats, wetting eyes. One by one, people stood, not out of respect for a flag, but out of respect for courage. Simon Cowell leaned forward, his expression slowly changing from curiosity to disbelief. The boy's voice filled the theater, not with volume, but with meaning. By the final verse, Simon's eyes glistened. He covered his mouth, shook his head, and whispered something off camera. When the song ended, the applause thundered like a wave crashing again and again, refusing to stop. Daniel bowed, overwhelmed. In that moment, he wasn't thinking about votes or fame. He was thinking about his mother watching from a tiny screen back home, hands clasped, tears falling freely. He was thinking about his father hearing the news later, realizing his son had been heard by millions. When Simon finally spoke, his voice was quiet, emotional, real. He said that performances like this remind us why talent matters, not because it entertains, but because it connects. Because it breaks borders. Because it makes strangers feel like family. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and help us share more moments that restore faith in humanity. Your support keeps these voices alive. Daniel didn't just sing an anthem. He became one. A symbol of hope, of resilience, of the truth that no matter where you're born, your voice can reach the world. And long after the stage lights faded, his song continued echoing in hearts, reminding us that sometimes, the smallest voices carry the strongest messages. The moment the camera zoomed in, the world seemed to pause. Before the judges spoke, before the crowd reacted, there was a feeling heavy, quiet, powerful, like destiny was holding its breath. A young Filipino boy stood under the bright lights of the AGT stage, his feet planted firmly, his chest rising fast with nervous breaths. Millions would later watch this moment, but right now, it felt personal, intimate, as if he were singing for just one heart at a time. Stay with this story until the very end, and if it touches you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be heard, shared, and remembered. His name was Joshua. 13 years old. From a small town where rain leaked through roofs and dreams were whispered instead of shouted. Joshua grew up in a home where money was scarce but love was loud. His mother worked long hours cleaning houses, returning home exhausted but smiling. His grandmother, frail but strong in spirit, taught him old songs, reminding him that even when life is hard, dignity must never be lost. Joshua learned early that singing wasn't about applause, it was about survival. Every evening, when the noise of the streets softened, Joshua sang. He sang while doing homework by dim light.